Welcome to Stoic Reflections. In today's hectic world, have you ever felt like your emotions are being controlled by others? Do you want to break free from that cycle and find peace within yourself? The brave man is free. Seneca. In this podcast episode, we will explore 10 powerful Stoic rules, drawn from the wisdom of ancient philosophers like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, to help you detach emotionally from negative external influence. Can Stoic philosophy help each of us overcome negative emotions and find inner peace? Join Stoic Reflections as we delve into the topic 10 Stoic rules. Stop letting others control your emotions to find the answer. Part 1. The power of detachment. Have you ever felt like your emotions are being controlled by others, like a puppet on a string? Have you ever wondered how much power you inadvertently give away simply because of your emotional attachments? This is where the power of detachment comes in. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring or become cold. It means you start living a life where your peace and happiness don't depend on any external factors. It's the process of reclaiming your inner strength, allowing you to control your reactions instead of letting others or circumstances dictate them. Epictetus, a renowned Stoic philosopher, once said, "We suffer not from the events in our lives, but from our judgments about them." Detachment is about regaining control, understanding that while you can't change external events, you can always control how you react to them. When we cling to a person or a situation, those things begin to control us, like handing someone else the remote control to our emotions, allowing them to flip through channels of happiness, sadness, or even anxiety at will. Imagine your emotions are like a kite, with each string attached to someone or something, and you're constantly being pulled in different directions. When you hold on too tightly to one string or hold too many strings at once, you become dependent on the wind's direction. Stoicism teaches us that instead of trying to control the wind, we should decide which strings we want to hold. Detachment doesn't make you insensitive, it makes you more resilient and clear-headed. By practicing detachment, you'll understand that your self-worth doesn't come from external factors but lies within you. When you realize this, you can live a freer life, unburdened by negative emotions or the invisible control of others. Remember, as Seneca once said, the brave man is free. When you choose detachment, you're not withdrawing from life, you're engaging with it more fully, with a clear mind and a strong heart. Detachment is not about creating distance between yourself and others, but about creating space within yourself. It's about recognizing that while relationships are valuable and important, your happiness shouldn't hinge on them. This is especially relevant in today's world, where social media often fosters a sense of dependency on external validation. We constantly seek likes, comments, and shares, tying our self-esteem to the opinions of others. Detachment allows us to break free from this cycle, understanding that our worth is intrinsic and not dependent on the approval of others. As the Buddha wisely stated, you yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. Detachment is ultimately an act of self-love, a recognition that you are worthy of peace and happiness regardless of external circumstances. Part 2. Understanding attachment. Have you ever wondered why we cling to certain people or situations, even when they cause us pain? What drives this need to hold on so tightly, and how can we break free? Understanding attachment is a crucial step on the journey towards emotional detachment and personal freedom. Attachment, at its core, often stems from our ego. Epictetus once said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." This quote illuminates the nature of attachment, the desires and needs we create for ourselves. When we're attached to someone or something, we are often seeking validation, security, or a sense of belonging from external sources. This, in essence, reflects a fear of loss and a lack of self-confidence within ourselves. Think of a newborn baby. full of carefree joy, and unburdened by the complex desires of the ego. But as we grow, our ego gradually takes over, causing us to form emotional attachments. These attachments, whether to people, objects, or even ideals, begin to cloud our judgment and pull us away from our true selves. Has your happiness ever depended entirely on the presence or approval of another person? That's a clear sign of an emotional attachment. To begin untangling these attachments, you must first recognize that they stem from the ego and insecurity. Ask yourself, why am I clinging to this person or this outcome? What am I seeking? Validation, a sense of security, or something else? Understanding the root of attachment is the first step to freeing yourself from its control. Imagine a life where you're no longer driven by fear or lack, but instead you live with love and contentment. What would happen if you could trust that what truly matters will come to you naturally? This shift in mindset not only frees you from unnecessary attachments, but also helps you realize your intrinsic value. When you begin to examine your relationships and desires in the light of inner freedom, you'll notice the unnecessary burdens that have been weighing down your life. By letting go of the fear of loss, you not only open yourself up to new opportunities, but also create a life filled with meaning, confidence, and fulfillment. Attachment often manifests as a need to control both the people around us and the outcomes we desire. We become so invested in how things should be that we forget to appreciate how they actually are. This need for control is a direct result of our fear of the unknown and our desire for certainty. However, the truth is that life is inherently uncertain, and the more we try to control it, the more we suffer. Detachment allows us to let go of this need for control, to accept that life will unfold as it will, and to trust in our ability to handle whatever comes our way. This doesn't mean we become passive or indifferent. It simply means we shift our focus from controlling the external world to controlling our internal world, our reactions, and our responses. As Carl Jung wisely said, "I am not what happened to me, I am what I choose to become." Detachment empowers us to choose who we become, regardless of the circumstances we face. Part 3. The illusion of control. Have you ever felt that your happiness depends on the actions or approval of others? Have you ever believed that if you just tried hard enough, you could control the outcome of your relationships or your emotions? This is a common misconception, the illusion that we can control everything. Understanding and breaking this illusion is essential to achieving emotional detachment and personal freedom. Our ego often tricks us into believing that we have control over external events or the reactions of others. But the truth is, the only thing we truly control is how we react. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This quote encapsulates a core principle of Stoicism. While we cannot control external circumstances, we have complete mastery over our attitudes and reactions. When we're caught in the illusion of control, we tend to put others on a pedestal, thinking that our worth depends on their recognition or affection. However, these thoughts create a distorted perception of reality, causing us to forget that everyone is equal. No one has the special power to determine your value. Breaking the illusion of control begins with acknowledging that much of what we believe we control is actually beyond our reach. This acceptance can bring both humility and liberation. When you stop trying to control the actions or emotions of others, you'll find yourself with more space to focus on what truly matters, your thoughts, actions, and personal growth. For example, instead of seeking validation from others, practice self-affirmation. Remind yourself daily of your strengths and unique qualities. As Marcus Aurelius once said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Furthermore, recognize that this universe is vast, and there is always enough love, success, and happiness for everyone. When you stop fearing the loss of a particular person or outcome, you open yourself up to new opportunities and connections. This shift in mindset helps you love more freely, unconstrained by emotional dependence. It also allows you to appreciate your current relationships while maintaining your self-respect and independence. Emotional detachment is not about indifference, it's about understanding that your value does not depend on the presence or opinions of others. By applying this principle, you will free yourself from mental shackles and move forward with confidence and inner strength. The illusion of control often leads to anxiety and disappointment. When we believe we can control everything, we set ourselves up for failure because, inevitably, things won't go according to our plans. This can lead to feelings of frustration, resentment, and even despair. Detachment allows us to let go of this need for control, to accept that life is full of uncertainties, and to trust in our ability to adapt and navigate whatever comes our way. This acceptance brings a sense of peace and allows us to focus our energy on what we can control, our thoughts, actions, and attitudes. As Lao Tzu wisely said, being deeply loved by someone gives you strength, while loving someone deeply gives you courage. Detachment allows us to love deeply without the need to control the outcome, giving us the courage to embrace vulnerability and the uncertainties of life. Part 4. Practicing detachment. Have you ever felt trapped in past experiences or relationships, unable to let go even though they caused you pain? Do you wonder what would happen if you truly let go? This is a common scenario. We hold on to something out of fear, even when it hurts us. But what if letting go could open up something even better? Stoicism encourages us to practice detachment as a way to free ourselves from the control of unnecessary attachments. Epictetus once said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." This principle applies not only to material possessions, but also to emotions. When we release attachments that are no longer serving us, we create space for new, more meaningful things to enter our lives. Imagine you're holding onto a rope so tightly that your hands are aching. You're afraid to let go because you don't know what will happen. But the truth is, letting go doesn't always mean you'll fall. It could be an opportunity to reach for something better. I've experienced this myself when I clung to a relationship simply because of the feeling of familiarity and security, without realizing that it was closing the door to potential happiness. Only when I let go did I see new doors opening. We're often trapped by our fear of the unknown. But in reality, it's clinging to the past that prevents us from moving forward. It's like holding on to memories or relationships that are no longer relevant just because we're afraid of loss. Imagine if, instead of being afraid, you could trust that what is truly meant for you will always find its way to you naturally and effortlessly. The practice of emotional detachment is not just a method of liberation, it's a journey towards inner wisdom and clarity. It helps you realize that your value and happiness don't depend on anyone or anything outside of yourself. When you start practicing letting go of unnecessary attachments, you'll feel the freedom, peace, and ability to embrace the new opportunities that life brings. Start by asking yourself, what am I holding on to, and why? Identifying these attachments is the first step to releasing them. When you practice detachment, you not only let go of burdens but also open your heart to welcome new possibilities with a confident and strong attitude. Detachment is not about denying our emotions or suppressing our feelings. It's about recognizing that our emotions are temporary and that we have the power to choose how we respond to them. It's about creating a space between our emotions and our reactions, allowing us to observe our feelings without being consumed by them. This space allows us to make conscious choices about how we want to act rather than being driven by impulsive emotional reactions. As the Dalai Lama wisely said, the purpose of our lives is to be happy. Detachment allows us to find happiness within ourselves, regardless of external circumstances. Part 5. The Path to Happiness. Have you ever wondered why true happiness often seems out of reach? We often get caught up in the whirlwind of desires and expectations from others, or become bound by external circumstances. But what if the key to lasting happiness lies not in the world around you but within you? Stoicism teaches that happiness doesn't come from possessions or recognition from others, but from the ability to self-control and inner contentment. Epictetus once said, "The happy man is he who has few wants." This doesn't mean giving up dreams or ambitions, but realizing that happiness doesn't depend on the possession or control of anything outside of you. Imagine you're holding a bird tightly in your hand, afraid that if you let go, it will fly away. But the very act of holding on tightly hurts both the bird and you. Similarly, when you become too attached to a person or a situation, you inadvertently create dependence and limit yourself. Happiness cannot be found in control or bondage, but in freedom, both for you and for others. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. This means that instead of seeking perfection outside, focus on building inner peace. True happiness is a journey of self-discovery, not the result of achieving what you think you need. The path to happiness doesn't require you to give up everything, but to give up dependence on them. Start by appreciating your intrinsic value. Value does not depend on the recognition of others. When you understand that happiness is a state of mind and is not controlled by external circumstances, you will feel true freedom. Remember that happiness is not something you seek from the outside world. It is a gift you give yourself when you choose to live authentically, respect your personal values, and let contentment guide your path. Happiness is not a destination, it's a way of traveling. It's not about achieving a certain outcome, but about cultivating a mindset of gratitude, acceptance, and joy in the present moment. This means appreciating the small things in life, finding joy in everyday experiences, and accepting that life will inevitably have its ups and downs. As Thich Nhat Hanh wisely said, happiness is not something ready-made. It comes from your own actions. Detachment allows us to find happiness in the present moment, without clinging to the past or worrying about the future. It allows us to appreciate the beauty of impermanence and to find joy in the journey, not just the destination. Part 6. Embracing the present moment. Are you often caught up in memories of the past or worries about the future? The inability to live fully in the present moment is one of the reasons we feel unbalanced and attached to negative emotions. Stoicism suggests that living in the present is not only a solution to feelings of insecurity, but also the path to inner peace. Marcus Aurelius, a great Stoic philosopher, once advised, "Confine yourself to the present." This advice encapsulates the philosophy of living fully in the present, the only place where you have control. When we immerse ourselves in the past, traumatic experiences can come back to haunt us, or we can cling to beautiful memories and forget that they are over. Similarly, worrying about the future often creates unfounded fears, causing us to miss the precious things happening right before our eyes. Living in the present doesn't mean ignoring the past or disregarding the future. It means learning to appreciate what is happening. Practicing mindfulness is a powerful way to achieve this. Focus on each breath, feel each step, or listen to every sound around you. When you pay attention to the smallest details, the taste of food, the light in the room, or the feeling of the ground beneath your feet, you connect more deeply with reality. Practicing mindfulness not only helps you break free from emotional attachments to the past or future, but also strengthens your ability to face challenges in life. A simple exercise like deep breathing or taking a few minutes each day to sit quietly have a surprisingly powerful effect in bringing you back to the present. Over time, you'll find yourself less distracted by what is past or what is yet to come, and more easily focus on what really matters. Living in the present is also a way for you to develop gratitude. Instead of worrying about what you don't have, Be grateful for what is present, a sunny day, a loved one's smile, or a delicious meal. These small things are all sources of energy that nourish your soul. When you shift your attention from lack to abundance, you will feel a profound change in your emotions and thoughts. Remember that the present moment is all we really have. By living fully in the present, you not only find peace but also create a solid foundation to face future challenges and enjoy life with all its richness. Living in the present moment also allows us to appreciate the beauty of impermanence. Everything in life is constantly changing, and the more we try to hold on to things as they are, the more we suffer. Detachment allows us to accept this impermanence, to recognize that everything is in a constant state of flux, and to find joy in the present moment, even as it passes. As the famous Zen saying goes, "This too shall pass." Detachment allows us to embrace this truth, to find peace in the face of change, and to live each moment to the fullest, knowing that it is unique and will never be repeated. Part 6. Embracing the present moment. Are you often caught up in memories of the past or worries about the future? The inability to live fully in the present moment is one of the reasons we feel unbalanced and attached to negative emotions. Stoicism suggests that living in the present is not only a solution to feelings of insecurity, but also the path to inner peace. Marcus Aurelius, a great Stoic philosopher, once advised, "Confine yourself to the present." This advice encapsulates the philosophy of living fully in the present, the only place where you have control. When we immerse ourselves in the past, traumatic experiences can come back to haunt us, or we can cling to beautiful memories and forget that they are over. Similarly, worrying about the future often creates unfounded fears, causing us to miss the precious things happening right before our eyes. Living in the present doesn't mean ignoring the past or disregarding the future. It means learning to appreciate what is happening. Practicing mindfulness is a powerful way to achieve this. Focus on each breath, feel each step, or listen to every sound around you. When you pay attention to the smallest details, the taste of food, the light in the room, or the feeling of the ground beneath your feet, you connect more deeply with reality. Practicing mindfulness not only helps you break free from emotional attachments to the past or future, but also strengthens your ability to face challenges in life. A simple exercise like deep breathing or taking a few minutes each day to sit quietly have a surprisingly powerful effect in bringing you back to the present. Over time, you'll find yourself less distracted by what is past or what is yet to come, and more easily focus on what really matters. Living in the present is also a way for you to develop gratitude. Instead of worrying about what you don't have, be grateful for what is present, a sunny day, a loved one's smile, or a delicious meal. These small things are all sources of energy that nourish your soul. When you shift your attention from lack to abundance, you will feel a profound change in your emotions and thoughts. Remember that the present moment is all we really have. By living fully in the present, you not only find peace but also create a solid foundation to face future challenges and enjoy life with all its richness. Living in the present moment also allows us to appreciate the beauty of impermanence. Everything in life is constantly changing, and the more we try to hold on to things as they are, the more we suffer. Detachment allows us to accept this impermanence, to recognize that everything is in a constant state of flux, and to find joy in the present moment, even as it passes. As the famous Zen saying goes, "This too shall pass." Detachment allows us to embrace this truth, to find peace in the face of change, and to live each moment to the fullest, knowing that it is unique and will never be repeated. Part 8. Setting healthy boundaries. Have you ever had difficulty saying no or setting limits with others? A lack of boundaries not only leaves you feeling exhausted, but also creates unwanted emotional dependence. Stoicism emphasizes that setting boundaries is an act of self-protection and a key to achieving emotional freedom. Boundaries are not about excluding others from your life. They are about clearly defining what is appropriate and what is not. By setting boundaries, you not only protect your emotional space, but also strengthen your self-respect, affirming your self-worth. A healthy boundary helps you delineate where you end and where others begin, thereby preventing emotional entanglement and building a strong sense of self-control. Imagine someone constantly overstepping your limits, making you feel stressed or uncomfortable. In such a situation, calmly but firmly express your feelings. Say that you need space or request a change in the way you interact. This doesn't mean you're pushing others away. It's about protecting your mental and emotional well-being. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that, hold on to the good that you have within you, because that is something no one can take away. Setting boundaries is also a way you respect yourself. They send a powerful message that you value yourself and your personal needs. Over time, maintaining these limits will help you develop healthier relationships based on mutual respect and understanding. Boundaries are not just a protective measure, they are also an empowering tool. They ensure that you are not drawn into unnecessary stress or pressure from the outside. When you set and adhere to your boundaries, you create a safe emotional environment where you can grow and focus on your own happiness. Remember that setting boundaries is not a selfish act, but an expression of self-love. When you take care of your mental health, you will not only feel freer but also create deeper and more meaningful connections with those around you. Boundaries are a tool for you to shape your life in a healthy, independent, and fulfilling way. Setting boundaries is not about building walls, it's about creating doors. It's about defining what you're willing to accept and what you're not, so that you can invite people into your life in a way that feels comfortable and respectful. This process requires self-awareness, courage, and consistent practice. As Brené Brown wisely said, daring to set boundaries is about having the courage to love ourselves, even when we disappoint others. Detachment allows us to let go of the need for external validation and to prioritize our own well-being, even if it means saying no to someone we care about. Part 9. Practicing self-care. Have you ever wondered when the last time you did something just to take care of yourself was? In the hustle and bustle of life, we often forget the importance of self-care, an essential element that helps us achieve emotional detachment and build an independent, resilient life. Stoicism emphasizes that a peaceful soul cannot exist in a neglected body. Seneca once wrote, "A sound mind in a sound body is a short, but full description of happiness." Practicing self-care is not just about relieving stress, it's about nurturing your body, mind, and spirit, helping you regain balance and strength from within. Start with the basics. Exercise not only improves physical health, but also stimulates the body to release endorphins, bringing feelings of happiness and lightness. Activities such as meditation or mindfulness help you reduce stress and train your mind to focus on the present, enhancing clarity and emotional stability. Besides, spending time on personal hobbies is also an effective way to take care of yourself. Whether it's painting, gardening, reading, or playing a musical instrument, these activities bring joy and a sense of fulfillment, while reducing dependence on others to find happiness. Also, prioritize spending quality time with loved ones, those who always support and uplift you. These connections not only help you feel love but also strengthen your sense of belonging and inner strength. Practicing self-care is about building a balanced lifestyle, where you not only focus on daily responsibilities but also ensure that your body and spirit are fully nourished. This helps you face life's challenges with confidence and autonomy. You don't have to depend on anyone to feel complete, because peace and strength have always existed within you. Remember that self-care is not a selfish act, but a form of deep self-love. When you prioritize your health and peace of mind, you not only improve the quality of your life but also bring positive energy to everyone around you. This is the solid foundation for you to grow and enjoy an independent, happy, and meaningful life. Self-care is not a luxury, it's a necessity. It's about recognizing that you are worthy of love, attention, and compassion, and taking the time to give yourself what you need to thrive. This may include setting aside time for relaxation, pursuing activities that bring you joy, seeking support from others when you need it, and learning to say no to things that drain your energy or compromise your well-being. As the famous author and speaker, Brené Brown, once said, "Talk about your struggles. It will help you realize you're not alone." Detachment allows us to be honest with ourselves about our needs and to seek support without shame or fear of judgment. Part 10. Practicing gratitude. Have you ever noticed that focusing on what you lack can make you feel even more attached to what you don't have? Practicing gratitude is a powerful method to completely change your perspective on life, while freeing you from emotional attachments and opening up a more fulfilling life. Gratitude helps you shift your attention from what is lacking to what you already possess. Instead of feeling deprived, you will begin to realize the wealth that is present in your life, from the smallest things to the greatest. Practicing gratitude helps you feel complete and happy in the present moment, instead of always looking outside to complete yourself. Epictetus once said, "Do not spoil what you have by desiring what you do not have." This saying reminds us to cherish what we already have, instead of always dreaming about things that cannot be achieved. When you live with gratitude, you will find that the things you once considered normal, even small, bring great joy and contentment. To practice gratitude, start by writing down 3 things you are grateful for each day. These things can be as simple as a sunny day, a friend who has always supported you, or a delicious meal. This not only helps you realize the blessings in your life, but also creates a positive habit, helping you maintain focus on the good things instead of the difficulties or losses. Gratitude also helps you break free from dependence on others to find happiness. When you are grateful for what you have, you will no longer feel lacking or cling to things beyond your control. Instead of living in fear of loss, you will open your heart to welcome new opportunities, new connections, and the joys that life brings. Remember that gratitude is the key to changing your life. It not only helps you detach emotionally from external events but also gives you the strength to face all challenges in life with a calm mind and a heart full of love. When you practice gratitude, you not only develop yourself but also live a more complete and fulfilling life. Gratitude is not just a feeling, it's a practice. It's about consciously choosing to focus on the good in your life, even when things are difficult. This practice can be as simple as taking a few moments each day to reflect on what you're grateful for, or as involved as keeping a gratitude journal. The important thing is to make it a regular habit, so that it becomes a natural way of thinking and being. As the famous author Melody Beattie once said, "Gratitude makes sense of our past, brings peace for today, and creates a vision for tomorrow." Detachment allows us to be grateful for the present moment without clinging to the past or worrying about the future. It allows us to find joy in the journey, not just the destination.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, we're going to do something a little different.
Oh, I like different.
It's really cool and just for you.
Awesome.
We're going to take a deep dive into Stoicism.
Nice.
Yeah. For this deep dive, we're using a podcast episode.
Okay.
It's called 10 Stoic Rules. Stop letting others control your emotions.
Intriguing.
It's from a podcast called Stoic Reflections, and it's packed with insights.
I'm ready.
So we're going to pull out those golden nuggets and see how this ancient wisdom can actually work for you.
Sounds great.
Okay, so the episode starts with this thought-provoking question.
Okay.
Have you ever felt like someone else is controlling your emotions?
Like you're a puppet on a string.
Yeah,
Oh, totally.
And that's where this Stoic idea of detachment comes in.
Oh, detachment. Interesting.
Now, before you picture like a robot or something, detachment isn't about shutting down your feelings.
Yeah.
It's more about understanding where our reactions are coming from and learning to like take control of them. So not becoming emotionless, but more like leveling up your emotional intelligence.
Exactly. The Stoics, they were all about this idea that it's our attachments,
Yeah.
often rooted in ego and insecurity that give other people power over us.
That makes sense.
Imagine your emotions are like a kite, right?
Okay, kite.
With all these strings attached, and
Okay.
each string is connected to a different person or situation.
Okay.
So if you're clinging tightly to all those strings,
Yeah.
you're basically at the mercy of the wind,
Oh, wow. I feel like I'm that kite sometimes,
right? You're getting pulled in a million directions.
especially with social media these days.
Ugh, tell me about it. Social media can really make those feelings worse.
True.
Like needing everyone to approve of you.
Right, right.
We start thinking our worth depends on likes and comments.
It's like we're giving other people the power to decide how we feel.
Yeah. Which is kind of crazy when you think about it.
It is crazy.
Yeah.
Our happiness shouldn't hinge on what other people think or do.
Exactly. That's what the Stoics were all about.
Yeah.
True freedom comes from within.
I like that.
So here's a question for you and everyone listening.
Okay, hit me.
How much of your happiness actually depends on things outside your control?
That's a good question.
Like other people's opinions and stuff?
It's definitely something to think about.
Yeah.
I know I've been there, letting those outside things get to me.
We all have. So then how do we untangle this knot of attachment?
Yeah, why do we cling to things even when they're not good for us?
It's like we're drawn to drama even if it stresses us out.
Right.
It all comes down to fear.
Fear.
Yeah. Fear of loss, lack of self-confidence, not feeling good enough on our own.
Oh, I see.
We cling to things and people because we're terrified of letting go.
It's like we're searching for security outside of ourselves instead of looking within.
Exactly. And this is where I think the Stoics have something powerful to offer.
Okay, what's that?
They're basically saying, hey, you've got this inner strength already, this ability to be content that's already there.
Okay.
Tap into that.
Like we all have it, but just need to unlock it.
Right. Think about a little baby,
Okay, a baby.
They don't have all those ego-driven attachments.
They're just in the moment.
Yeah. They haven't learned to fear loss
Wow, that's a really good point.
or crave that validation from outside themselves.
It's like a pure, unburdened way of being.
Exactly.
Do you think it's possible to get back to that, even a little?
The Stoics believed it was. Through practice, through awareness.
Uh-huh.
There's this quote by Epictetus, another ancient philosopher.
Okay.
He said, wealth consists not in having great possessions,
Right.
but in having few wants.
I've heard that before.
We usually think of that in terms of material things, right?
Yeah, like stuff.
But couldn't it also apply to emotional attachments?
That's
The
interesting.
less we need to be happy, the less power those things have over us.
That's a really cool way to look at it.
Right.
It's like a total mind shift.
So think about it. What are you clinging to and why?
Ooh, that's deep.
What needs are you trying to fill through those attachments?
It makes you realize how much we try to fill emotional voids
Yeah.
with outside things instead of finding that wholeness within.
And that search for wholeness, that's the heart of the Stoic path.
I love that.
It's about realizing that true freedom doesn't come from controlling the outside world.
But from mastering our inner world.
Exactly.
It really is. And that kind of leads us to something that I think a lot of people struggle with.
What's that?
Letting go of this illusion of control.
Oh, yeah.
It's easy to think we can, control everything and everyone around us.
Right, like we're in charge.
Yeah, but that's just not how it works, is it?
Definitely not. The more we try to force things, the more frustrated we get,
Yeah, totally.
Life just throws curveballs. It's unpredictable.
It really is.
And the Stoics knew this. They got it.
So what did they do?
Instead of trying to control everything, they focused on what they could control. Their reactions, how they responded to stuff.
That makes sense.
There's this great quote by Epictetus. He said,
Okay, let's hear it.
"It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters."
Wow, that's powerful.
Right. It's so simple, but when you really think about it,
Yeah.
it's kind of life-changing.
It's like instead of feeling like a victim of your circumstances,
Exactly.
you become the author of your own experience.
Exactly.
Even when things are crazy.
It's about taking back your power.
I love that.
Okay, so let's get practical for a sec.
Okay.
Think about a time you were super frustrated because you were trying to control something you couldn't.
Oh, all the time.
Right, like maybe a work project that went sideways
Oh,
or
yeah.
a fight with a friend.
Or even something small,
Yeah.
like getting stuck in traffic.
Ugh, the worst. I used to get so worked up about traffic.
Me too.
Yeah.
Like I could somehow make the cars move faster.
It's like we think we have magical powers over traffic.
I know, it's so silly.
So think about that traffic jam. How could you have reacted differently if you had this Stoic idea in mind?
Well, for starters, I probably wouldn't have been so stressed. I could have used that time to listen to a podcast.
There you go. Or maybe like do some deep breathing.
Yeah, instead of getting all tense.
It's about choosing how you respond, right?
It is.
And that brings us to another rule, the practice of letting go.
Letting go.
Now, this isn't about ignoring your feelings.
Okay, good.
It's about creating space between your feelings and your reactions.
So you can feel it, but you don't have to be controlled by it.
Exactly. Imagine you're holding onto a rope like super tight,
Okay.
knuckles white, you're putting all your effort into it.
Yeah.
Letting go might seem scary, but it also opens you up to grab onto something even better.
I like that.
Right. You can't hold on to something new if your hands are full.
It's so true. We got to make space.
And that applies to so much in life, don't you think?
Absolutely. Like what?
Old relationships, grudges, regrets. It's all weighing us down.
Yeah, keeping us stuck.
What are you holding on to that might be holding you back?
I'm sure there's something. We all have that stuff.
It takes guts to let go, but that's where real growth happens.
I can see that.
And this leads us to a Stoic idea that I find so freeing.
What's that?
It's the idea that true happiness doesn't come from things.
Ooh, tell me more.
It comes from self-control and inner peace.
The age-old search for happiness, huh?
The Stoics were all about it, but their approach was different, you know?
How so?
They weren't chasing pleasure or collecting stuff.
So not the typical more mentality.
Nope. They thought true happiness came from living a good life.
What does that even mean, a good life?
It meant living by your values, being a good person.
So it's more about who you are, not what you have.
Exactly. It's about knowing yourself, your core,
I like that.
and finding contentment in that.
So not depending on external things for your happiness.
You're right. Think of it like holding a tiny bird.
A bird, okay.
If you squeeze too tight, you think you're protecting it.
But you're actually hurting it.
Yeah, it's the same with all our attachments.
If we cling too tightly, we create our own suffering.
Exactly. Epictetus, he said it best.
What do you say?
The happy man is he who has few wants.
I think I get it.
It's not about giving up on your goals.
Right.
It's about realizing that happiness doesn't depend on reaching them.
It's more about the journey, not the destination.
Beautifully said. And that brings us to something super important.
What's that?
Embracing the present moment.
Oh, yeah, that's a tough one.
It's so easy to get stuck in the past or worry about the future.
Tell me about it. My mind's always racing.
And when we do that, we miss out on the now.
Totally. We're not really experiencing life.
Marcus Aurelius had some advice on this.
The emperor.
Yep. He said, confine yourself to the present.
Easier said than done.
I know, but he knew that dwelling on things just steals our peace, you know?
So how do we actually do that? Be more present.
There are some things you can try, like mindfulness.
Mindfulness, okay.
It's about paying attention to right now, without judgment.
Like, what do you mean?
Notice your breath, how your body feels, the sounds around you.
Just be aware of what's happening right now.
Yeah, and really appreciate it.
I can try that.
There's also meditation, or just sitting quietly for a bit.
Just to clear your head.
Exactly. Find what works for you.
It's like training your mind, right?
Like going to the gym for your thoughts. I like that.
And speaking of training our minds,
Yeah.
let's talk about the power of thought itself.
Oh, that's a big one.
The Stoics believed our thoughts have a huge impact on us.
They really did. It's like that saying, you are what you think.
Right.
Marcus Aurelius said, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts.
So, like, our thoughts literally shape our reality.
That's the idea. If you're always thinking negatively,
You're going to experience more negativity.
exactly, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
It's kind of scary when you think about it.
So recognizing those negative thoughts and challenging them is super important.
So how do we do that?
Well, let's say you catch yourself thinking, I'm not good enough.
Okay, I do that sometimes.
Ask yourself, is that really true? What proof do I have?
Good point.
A lot of times those negative thoughts fall apart when you do that.
No. It's like they can't stand up to scrutiny.
Right. And once you've challenged them, you can start replacing them with more positive ones.
So instead of I'm a failure,
You might say, I'm learning and growing.
I like that.
Or instead of I'll never find love, you could say, I'm open to the possibility.
It's like changing the script in your head.
Exactly. Creating more
Yeah.
supportive inner world.
That's beautiful. Okay, so we're challenging negative thoughts.
Yes.
What else can we do to find more emotional freedom?
Setting healthy boundaries. That's a big one.
Boundaries are so important in any relationship,
Right. It's about knowing your limits.
and communicating them
Exactly. Boundaries are about respecting yourself.
and protecting yourself.
It's like having a fence around your emotional garden.
I like that. Keep the good stuff in and the bad stuff out.
And without boundaries, we just get exhausted.
Yeah, people can walk all over you.
Imagine someone constantly pushing your limits, demanding your time and energy.
It's draining. It chips away at you.
But when you set those boundaries, you're protecting yourself.
Right. It's not being mean. It's self-care.
Exactly. Marcus Aurelius had a great quote about this.
Let's hear it.
Hold on to the good that you have within you, because that is something no one can take away.
That's so true. Our inner worth is ours to protect.
So think about it. Where do you need stronger boundaries?
In what areas of my life?
Are there people or situations that just drain you?
It's about taking back your power, like you said before.
It is. And speaking of taking care of ourselves,
Yes.
we can't forget about prioritizing self-care.
That's so important. But sometimes it feels selfish.
It's not selfish, it's essential.
Like, how do we know when to put ourselves first?
It's about nourishing your body, mind, and spirit.
So you can show up fully in the world.
Seneca had a great quote on this.
Another one.
A sound mind in a sound body is a short but full description of happiness.
I love that. It's so simple but true.
Right.
No.
And self-care can be anything you enjoy.
Like what?
Exercise, meditation, being in nature, music, reading.
It brings you joy.
Exactly. Find what works for you and make it a habit.
Okay, I can do that.
And remember, it's not selfish to take care of yourself.
It's actually the opposite, right?
You can't help others if you're running on empty.
It's like the oxygen mask on the airplane.
Perfect analogy. Put yours on first, then help others.
Okay, so we've talked about letting go, self-care.
Yeah.
What's next on our Stoic journey?
Cultivating gratitude. This is a big one.
Yeah, it really is amazing how much lighter you feel, you know?
It's like you're finally putting down that heavy backpack.
Yeah, full of all those worries and anxiety.
Exactly. And suddenly you can move more freely, enjoy the journey,
When things get tough.
even when there are bumps in the road. So let's recap those 10 Stoic rules.
Okay, maybe.
We talked about detachment, understanding those attachments, letting go of control, the practice of letting go,
Finding happiness inside ourselves, being present,
reshaping our thoughts, setting boundaries.
self-care, and gratitude.
Wow, that's quite a toolkit, isn't it?
It really is. These aren't just ancient ideas. They're like
Yeah.
tools we can use every day to make our lives better.
To find more peace and joy and freedom, you know?
I love how practical Stoicism is.
It is.
It's not just about thinking differently. It's about taking action.
Doing something. The Stoics were all about that.
It's like they gave us a map to inner peace.
But we have to actually walk the path.
Exactly. Okay, before we wrap up,
Yeah.
I have one more question for you, something to think about.
I'm all ears.
We've talked about detaching from external things.
Right, like possessions, opinions, all that.
What about detaching from our own emotions?
Ooh, that's an interesting one.
Can we find even more freedom that way?
By just observing our emotions without judgment?
Yeah. Letting them flow through us without clinging.
It makes you think.
I know, I get so caught up in my emotions sometimes.
We all do.
They control how I act, how I react.
But what if we could create some distance?
Like watching clouds drift by, you know?
That's the ultimate challenge, isn't it?
Maybe.
To be present with our feelings, but not controlled by them.
That's a lifelong journey for sure.
It is. But I think that's true emotional mastery.
That's a beautiful thought to end on.
It is.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into Stoicism.
It's been a pleasure.
Remember, you have the power to choose your path to emotional well-being.
You do.
It starts with awareness, continues with practice.
And leads to a more joyful and peaceful life.
Exactly. So keep exploring, keep practicing, and keep growing.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone.
We have just explored 10 Stoic rules to help you master your emotions and find peace within yourself. Remember, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius. Hopefully, the sharing in this podcast will give you more motivation and knowledge to apply to your daily life, gradually achieving emotional freedom and true happiness. If you find this podcast helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe to Stoic Reflections, and join our community to share and learn together. Leave a comment below about your experiences and thoughts. Thank you for listening. See you in the next podcast episodes.